I serve as the director of sales for the Americas for Parallels, and this is our Parallels remote application server product intro demonstration. So first and foremost, we talk a little bit about the why virtualization, why remote application server exists. You have to think about what I call the olden days, which is primarily IT within an organization used to service people either in a physical location or in a geographic location, but primarily all on the same wide area network. They worked off of the same on-prem servers with the same file stores, same security, and they all had similar desktop devices that they could go ahead and utilize. And what companies would do is they would buy these network devices, they would load up the software for their ERP system or their HR system, all this other stuff like that. And that's how they would run the organization. And run the IT organization. And part of the problem was for the vast majority of them, many of them, these people were flying the coop. They were leaving their 12th floor office and they were working from home, or they were working remotely, or maybe working out of a remote office. So we devised Parallels Remote Application Server to go ahead and help for that whole kind of remote work from home capability, the ability to work on any app at any time, on any device, anywhere. And we would routinely get arguments against work from home from our prospects and customers. Now this is even when we would give them information like the ability to have a flexible schedule or the ability to work from anywhere or not having to commute. Those were big wins for the most talented of their organization to keep them employed there. So we could talk about that, but they still had challenges. And these were kind of the three biggest arguments we had against remote work from home, or even utilizing Parallels Remote Application Server in a way to get more people working remotely. The first was productivity. Many of our customers would come to us and say, you know what? Business for the last like 120 years has really been concentrating on how to keep people productive in an office environment. And if I'm having, so all of my meetings, all of my, the times I bring in lunch for my team, all of those events that we have after work, all of those things that we normally do to keep people productive in the office. If people are working remotely, I don't have access to any of that. So I'm not really kind of jiving with what you're saying about work from home or remote work. Another problem was support. Many modern organizations had limited internal IT or administrative resources to support remote employees. Sure, you could support a couple of remote sales guys or gals, or so you could, have maybe a couple contractors that could work remote. But your entire accounts payable department, they couldn't work remote. They had to work on-prem at the office. Your entire logistics department, your entire marketing department, they were working on-prem, and those IT serviced them on-prem, and they didn't have the capability to service them remotely. And then obviously teamwork. The big thing, it kind of blends 1 and 2, where the majority of knowledge workers really require team interactions. We need to have our meetings. We need to have our stand-ups. We need to have all these other things that we need. Remote work is great for, hired gun salespeople or individual contributors, but not really for a team-based approach. And one of the most recent arguments for that was how Yahoo went from a remote kind of work from home kind of model to bringing everybody back into the office, saying they needed to work in the office to communicate to each other. And what we would do is we would talk to our customers and talk about remote and what the old normal would look like as far as with remote work, and how the global workforce was expected to reach almost 2 billion workers by 2022. And we used to talk about, the 10 billion mobile devices that were going to be in use by the end of this year, or how 92% of the organizations out there are adopting mobile apps to give the competitive edge. How US companies save so much money, even having a half-time telecommuter or remote work from home person in a position. How people that work from home spend more time working, and how the average worker actually adds an additional 200 some odd hours a year. And so those were the things that we would talk about in the olden days, what I call the old normal. But we don't live in that old normal anymore. We're living what we're all kind of identifying and IDing as what we're calling, right, for the lack of a better term, the new normal. And it's where things like this, talking about productivity or worrying about support or talking about something as ephemeral as teamwork and how that works in that. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and we used to have a saying that, that sounds like a real Cadillac problem. Those problems sound like something that was great that we had to deal with 2 months ago. But right now, many organizations and many businesses, and probably incontrovertibly, some of the people that are on this call right now, they take a look at these problems and they go, oh, how quaint. How quaint it is for us to worry about productivity or support. Because what we're finding out now is that for the vast majority of us, we are being pushed to get as many people working remotely as possible because of what's going on in our workplaces across the country and across the world right now. Even when it comes from the government, whether there's testing or no testing, whether whatever's going on, the very first thing they say is wash your hands. But after that, the very first thing they say is allow employees to telework if feasible. If people can work remotely, let them work remotely. And you, as IT professionals and people on this call, know that's really easier said than done. Let's talk a little bit deeper about what we're facing here as a country and as a business climate right now. These are some key facts, what I call the new normal key facts. Currently, as of last count this week, there's over 22 million people that are currently unemployed or furloughed in this country right now. That's how it is. That's what's going on. So if you have a job and you are able to work remotely, and if you have an organization and you're a business that you can make people work or choose the technologies you need to get people work remotely, it's almost a moral duty to get that done, because you want to keep the doors open, you want to keep revenue coming into your organization, whether you're a sole proprietor or whether you're a public company that has shareholders. It's beholden to you to keep those doors open and do anything possible to keep the economy moving. Now, we're also faced with the fact that eventually many of those people are going to go back to work at some point. We'll talk about that. But for the vast majority of them, their kids are going to be out of school for the rest of the year. 51% of U.S. children that are school age are going to be out of school at least till the end of this year, the beginning of the 2021 school year. For those of you that are playing at home, that's 36 million children that are going to be out of school for the remainder of the year. Their parents work. Now I know for a fact, because I have a 9-year-old, I can't put my 9-year-old on the couch with her Google Chromebook and have her do her Google Classroom all by herself while I drive down to Seattle and work out of my office. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. So my employer needs to provide me a work from home capability even after the all clear is sounded, even after we can start opening up businesses and opening up places. Let's talk about that. The government, all governments, whether they be state, local, or municipal, are saying when it's healthy. When it's healthy, we'll open up. We'll open up in phases. We'll open up things. It's kind of like a reverse field of dreams. Just because you build it doesn't mean they're going to come. Just because you open up doesn't mean customers are going to come in through the door or workers are going to come in through the door. When it's healthy is a very kind of gray kind of way to think about it. So if you have the capability to keep people working from home as long as possible, you probably should. And let's talk about, the vast majority of Americans. Over 60% of Americans don't know who to believe when it comes to what's going on with the government, whether what's the crisis or the virus or what's that. Is this real? Is that real? They're kind of standing pat. They don't know where to get good information from. So the fact of the matter is, as employers and as businesses that employ these people, we have to head that off at the pass, and we have to make sure our end users are educated and they're protected in the best way possible, and that is by staying at home and working from home. So in reality, the new normal is, for a lot of the people that work in your organization, is probably going to look like this, but probably a lot messier in the house and less smiling going on. But that's what it's going to look like. And so for us to go ahead and understand that, we need to understand what it's going to take for us to go ahead and scale up remote working. And what will it look like? Well, one of the first things you have to do is you have to identify the applications and then the business systems that you're looking to go ahead and work remote. Obviously, HR, payroll, ERP systems, CRMs, unified communication, your collaboration tools, email, file stores, all of those things. Now, some, or maybe a few, or one or none of these applications that you're currently running have a web-enabled portion, or maybe they have a way that people access over VPN, or there's a couple other ways that, screwy ways that you're able to go ahead and get remote workers working. But do you have a plan or an effective solution in place where you can get 100% of the people within your accounting department to work on the ERP system from home? Do you have an effort or a solution in place where you can get your logistics system, your shipping and receiving, your billing, your accounts payable system, anything like that up and running remotely? And what I mean by that is not just run with a web instance, because we all know web applications, although they're great, they're 80% of what the actual desktop application does. And it's okay if you're working on a Saturday and you need to get a couple extra things done in the ERP system, you can work from the web interface. But if you have to do manual data entry, if you have to do real harsh kind of calculating and crunch those numbers in the accounting system, do you really want someone typing into a web page in order to do that? Or do you want that person working from the application that they know best, which is that Windows-based application? And for the vast majority of us, none of our planning, none of anything else is going to matter, because the CEO or some big shot's going to walk in our office in IT and say, we got to send everybody home. We got to make this work. So really what you're left with here is you're left with taking an empty office and moving it to some type of online structure and online function. And it's even more than that, because what's that going to look like? It's going to look like you're going to have your information store, and you're going to have your on-prem applications, and they're going to be cloud enabled somehow. And you're going to have these whole host of users, and some of them are going to be employees, some are going to be contractors, remote offices. You're going to have peripherals attached, and then you're going to have, are people accessing via a Mac or an iPad or a browser or anything? How are they accessing these applications? And then the most difficult is that, let's say you're doing everything right here. You've got them their laptop with their application on it, and they're able to go ahead and run it. You don't control that last mile or that last 5 feet. You don't control. So if they're running this big, robust client server-based application on their desktop, and they're communicating to you over, an intermittent Wi-Fi signal attached to a cable modem that's being maxed out because everybody in the cul-de-sac is watching Marathon Orange is the New Black. I mean, that's the reality. So what is this really going to look like? And then you have to throw in irregular end users. A lot of these end users, and Saturday Night Live had a skit on it a couple weeks ago, a lot of these end users have never worked remotely. They don't know how these things work. So you guys know, having helped IT and having IT help desks, already end users are problematic at best when being introduced to new technology. How do you take someone who's always sat in their desk, in their cubicle with their little troll dolls and everything else like that, and they worked on their application? You take them and you push them into a Chromebook and you push them on their couch and you say, okay, now Mildred, go run payroll. That's a difficult thing to do. And not only do you have to train that person, you have to support that person. So the easiest way to do that, and we believe the easiest way to do that here, is what we do here in Parallels. We understand that the vast majority of companies still use traditional desktops and traditional desktop-based applications for most of their end users, right? Even though many apps are web-enabled or work cross-platform, these end users, these core end users, like and prefer to use the often more robust Windows application. Remote users also suffer from peripheral issues like printers and scanners. So when they have to print, they usually wait till they come back to the office or to ask someone to print or scan something. They don't use their local printers, their home printers, their bubble jet printers, whatever else. And the biggest blocker for this is end user training and support for end users. And how do you do that? Well, we think there's a relatively easy way to do that, and that's with something we call Parallels Remote Application Server. And what it is, in a nutshell, it's an application, a server-based application that allows your end users to access either their desktop or a specific application from any device, anywhere, at any time, working just like it does on the Windows on the Windows desktop. meaning that there's a low barrier of entry with training, a low barrier of entry with support, because people know how to use the application they already know how to use. You're just putting it on their iPad, on their kid's iPhone, on whatever else you need to do in order for them to get it done while they're sitting on their couch at home or on their desktop or however else you've set that up. And we've been doing this for a while. So how long? Well, we're a 20-year-old company. We're in over 140 countries. 50,000 business-to-business organizations deal with us on a daily basis when it comes to the management of their virtualized information stores and their virtualized sessions for both their desktop and their applications. We have a plethora of different products, but for this instance, we're just going to talk about Parallels Remote Application Server. So in a nutshell, Remote Application Server there on your bottom right-hand side is an all-in-one remote application delivery and VDI solution. What we do is we provide access to any app or to any desktop from any device. That's it in a nutshell. If we were in an elevator, we'd already be at the 10th floor and you'd already know everything Remote Application Server does. But how does it do it? And how does it help you meet your objections? Well, the way we've devised and the way we've designed the system is we provide a system that we think will help you meet these current market demands that you have right now, and then still help you increase worker productivity moving forward. The way we've designed the system is to go ahead. We look at increasing customers and your employee satisfaction to be the top priority. Solutions don't get used that aren't easy to use. So the way we developed our user experience with Parallels Remote Application Server is the desktops and the applications that they're used to on their Windows device looks and acts exactly the same on any other device. That's if you don't remember anything else about Parallels Remote Application Server, remember that. So if you're utilizing your ERP system on your Windows desktop, when you're utilizing Parallels RAS, you could be at home on your iPad, on your couch. The application works the same, it looks the same, it acts the same. And that massively decreases your need for end user training and end user support, getting these apps and getting these applications out, these desktops out to end users that are going to need to work from home or work remotely for the foreseeable future. But we also roll in and we enhance a lot of data security. So we provide the ability to keep that data secure without having to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole when it comes to when it comes to setting security protocols. We're obviously mobile because it's any device, anywhere, anytime. We provide you the ability to be cloud flexible. So you can go ahead and have on-prem, you can have this cloud-based, you can run it off Azure or AWS, depending upon how it works within your organization. And again, we hope to help you meet the current market demands, which is calling for keeping your businesses open, but keeping your offices closed, which is a difficult thing to go ahead and do in any environment, let alone this one. So we've understood for a number of years, and it's really showing itself to be something here within this current environment. The biggest impediments to work from home were twofold. We talked about them. The lack of what we call an easy button for end users and their applications, and a lack of an easy button for IT to ramp up, add users, and support users very, very quickly. So the key benefits of RAS, when it comes right out of the box, the first and foremost is our superior end user experience. We really do believe what we mean when we say user experience on any device, anywhere. We provide a seamless and intuitive access to your digital workspaces from any device. The mobile parallel clients transform any virtual application into a full-fledged mobile app. It allows iOS and Android users to perform native gestures such as swipe and zoom and tap to click by working on the go as well. So not only if your end users in the ERP system, does the F5 key still do what the F5 key does, but also you can do things like swipe and zoom and use your native features of your mobile device in order to get what you need done quicker that way. We also, and additionally, provide a level of what we call effortless multitasking and hassle-free printing and peripheral support, meaning that Janice from accounting could literally print from the Parallels session to her bubble jet printer there locally and set it up relatively quickly and easily with little headache from an IT perspective. And anybody who's ever worked in an IT department and has ever worked on a printer knows how headache prone they are. And the fact is that we've incorporated the ability to do that type of stuff relatively simply with peripheral devices. That's because we enhance the data security, obviously by central controlling and monitoring user access, but it's incredibly agile and it's easy to deploy, configure, and maintain. We streamline deployment and maintenance of VDI and RDSH infrastructure. And what we do is we provide a set of tools that are directly available from a central console. So we provide configuration wizards, multi-tenancy management, auto provisioning, auto scaling, automation, and a whole lot of more of things that we provide in that level. We think it's pretty agile and it's on-demand capability because you're able to adapt to business needs quickly. And what do I mean by that? We had a customer in Connecticut at the beginning of this month that had 50 RAS users. They called us on a Monday, said they're going to have to add 50 more. They called us on a Tuesday. They needed to add 150 more. By Wednesday, they had over 800 users that they had to add immediately to Parallels RAS. And each time they called us, it was simple as just providing them a key, them adding the users, and those users rolling up and getting distributed and pushed out immediately. It wasn't even an hour for them to go ahead and get that all set up. And this is from an aspect of going from 50 users to 850 users in a little under 48 hours. And that's just one instance of how almost effortless it is to go ahead and roll up and scale the solution when you start on it, no matter how small. And that's the whole thing, because our whole thing is about reducing the total cost of ownership, and not just the cost, because the C in TCO doesn't just stand for cost, it also stands for complexity. And that's kind of what we're going to get into in the next part, where we talk about when we talk about work from home and remote work and Parallels remote application server, but complexity. We are an all-in-one, out-of-the-box solution. There is no special licensing, no special training, no special things that you get. I mean, it is a relatively very thin, very easy application to understand from an administrative aspect. And the reason we've developed it that way is simply because we know that the second issue one gets normally with applications and with the ability to go ahead and share things to your end user community is the ability to support. So not only do we provide these things, which are seamless UX, which is native gestures and web access and multitasking and print from any device, but what we really do is we really go ahead and take care of this part, the easy button for internal IT departments to ramp up users quickly as the need arises. And the way we do this is we do this through what we call agility and business readiness. We provide access to virtual desktops, applications, and virtual machines almost immediately and very quickly to any end user on any device. This allows you to manage virtual machine templates, which you can instantly provision to end users or publish application to end users immediately as they're needed. So all of a sudden you find out tomorrow that 10 people have to work on the ERP system that didn't normally have to work on it. You can literally push out that VM, you can push out that capability from an application basis immediately to those end users, all from a single point of reference, a single console. It provides you a flexibility in your deployment. So you can support multi-clouds, which is both Azure and Amazon Web Service. You can have a flexible architecture. It doesn't matter what hypervisor you're using. You can use a number of different in order, whatever works best for you. We're kind of agnostic when it comes to that level of technology or that level of solution, because we want to go ahead and be able to service you for what you need. Because at the end of the day, it's not really the front end. I mean, the front end matters because that's the application that end users are using, but we've got that down with our UX. So their front end is what they're used to on their Windows device. The big thing is how we help you on the back end. Things like task automation, the ability for us to provide you the capability to save time and cost by still maximizing your resources and allowing you to create either APIs or PowerShells in order to go ahead and structure the automation that works best for you within your scheduling and workflow applications. And we provide a level of straightforward management, which is a lot different if you've ever utilized something like VMware or Citrix. Our console is a single pane of glass. It centrally manages and scales the complete IT infrastructure. We've got some traffic light indicators that provide you snapshot of health of each component, but our web-based console allows administrators to monitor infrastructure from any HTML5 browser. Well, what does that mean for you? Well, it means you're working from home as well, because the ability for you to then go ahead and manage everything from a single HTML5 browser means you can manage your end users from anywhere. So not only have you sent everybody home, but you're working from home, and you're able to go ahead and manage all that stuff relatively simply through through an HTML5 browser. So we kind of go really kind of deep dive into the superior UX, and we can talk, a great deal about it. But at the end of the day, things like bidirectional audio, things like native gestures, being able to drag and drop between applications, being able to incorporate SSL or ultra-fast login, printing and scanning, single sign-on. These are all things that we incorporate and are part and parcel of the core product. And we don't have levels of Parallels Remote Application Server. If you've got 15 users or you've got 1,500 users, it's the same application. There's no super premium for more users. It's the same app. It's the same server-based application for everyone. It's all dependent upon how how many end users, how many concurrent users you're utilizing and working through. We also provide an increased level of data security. Now, through all virtual desktops, the actual data rests in, the data centers or remote servers. So by providing that level of access to all your end users, you can provide a full work from home capability while still holding a lot of that security in-house and or on-prem. Everybody working remotely through the application means you can monitor, control, and restrict data access, which also means you can enforce client policies to any device. Let me repeat that. You can enforce client policies to any device, which means that the end user that accesses your application through their kid's Google Chromebook, you can enforce policies on that particular device through the application because you've structured for that within your build and within your server firm, within your organization, how you set up Parallels RAS for you. We can show you how to do that. And encryption protocols, we support all the encryption protocols that you're normally used to working with, and you can enforce smart card or MFA authentication. So for applications that have a higher level of protection, maybe they're HIPAA based, maybe they have other PII information, you can enforce that level of security as well. And then when we get to agility and business readiness, right? Business continuity and high availability. We can talk about everything else, but let's just concentrate on this right now. Business continuity and high availability is on everybody's top of mind list right now. We get that done for you in spades. It's a problem that you don't have when you're a Parallels RAS customer. You can push out any application, any desktop to any user on any device. That's already taken care of. Now it's just a matter of the number of concurrent licenses you need and how quickly you're able to get it done through the console. So it gives you that capability without having to incorporate more tech buy on your back ends in order to get that done. Obviously, we're a one-stop shop for RDS and VDI. We provide you the ability to mix and match different OSs and technologies. You can literally have the same Windows-based application running on a MacBook, running on a Surface, running on an iPad, running on a Google Chromebook, running on an iPhone. The same application, and you literally don't have to change it one bit. You just go ahead and provide them the capability to run it through Parallels Remote Application Server from that particular device. That provides us the ability to be not only hypervisor agnostic, but we're multi-cloud ready as well. So you can even run from the on-prem, you can run from the cloud, or any hybrid thereof that you want to go ahead and run. Easy to deploy and maintain, whether it be through client auto configuration, whether it be through our centralized management console, which is what we call, again, a single pane of glass, whether it's multi-tenancy, whether you need multi-tenants to support an organization that has multiple farms. You can still do that from a single pane of glass. So if you're a higher education and you have multiple colleges that fall under your university IT structure, we give you that capability to do that. And then, of course, obviously with PowerShell APIs and wizard-based deployment and auto provisioning and auto scaling. Excuse me. Sorry, that's a wet cough, not a dry cough. Don't worry about me. So that's so you have the capability to go ahead and provide that level of support from an IT perspective to your end user and end user communities relatively easily. And then at the end of the day, we help you reduce total cost of ownership, not only cost, but also complexity. At the very end of the day, what does Parallels RAS cost? Well, manufacturer suggested retail price out the box. We're a yearly subscription service, $99 per user per year. That's it. No extra for training, no extra for installation, no extra for implementation. That's kind of where we fall, manufacturer suggested retail. If you purchase through partners or other providers like SHI or CDW, there's opportunities for deals to be had with the number of users, those types of things. But really, that's kind of a single license model. It's non-complex, and you just go ahead and use the licenses that you use. And we are concurrent users. We're not named users. So you have the ability to go ahead and scale up as you need to, as you're seeing users increase the number of users you have on those concurrent licenses. We can help you go ahead and move that up. I talked earlier about core product. So we don't have a premier product, a mid-level product, and an introductory product. We have one product. It's called Parallels Remote Application Server. Everybody gets everything in it, whether you're 15 users or 1,500 users or 15,000 users. For us, it's all the same. So if you're on the phone right now and you're like, boy, Derek, this sounds really great, but I only have 20 users that I need to get remote. We're there for you, and we can help you, because everything that you've seen this far and everything you want to see in demos and proof of concepts moving forward, you'll be able to access. Conversely, if you have 1,500 users or 5,000 users, the solution is scalable and for you as well, because you can give those capabilities not only to those users, but you can also meter out function and capabilities based upon the type of users that you have. So the access that marketing needs is different than the access that payroll needs, is different than the access that shipping and receiving need. So you can go ahead and distribute those features and functions as you see fit. And it really doesn't matter what vertical model that you're based on, whether you're a healthcare company and you're dealing with HIPAA requirements and security requirements that you really need to lock down. It doesn't matter whether you're a head of an IT organization and you think that you have different types of users and their level, and you don't know how to roll stuff out to them, because sure, you have some really high-end, really good users that know how computers work, and then you have people that barely know how to spell computer or don't know what an on button is, and you need to go ahead and help them and service them, and we can help with that. And then it's like, well, I've got a whole bunch of users. I don't know what kind of end user devices they're going to have. The realistic aspect is that if you have 100 people in your company, you're probably not prepared to give them 100 laptops or 100 iPads or 100 everything else. So what do they have at home already? Do they have a Chromebook? Do they have an iPad? Do they have a MacBook of their own? Okay. Well, you can run Parallels Remote Application Server and get your corporate application out to their end user device immediately and have them utilizing it that way. And it gives you a level of security and capabilities on that device as well. So you're protecting your network from nefarious actors trying to get in through that. So what do we help do? These are kind of some takeaways here. We hopefully help and provide you a high performance, intuitive, and productive user experience on any device from anywhere. We enable your organization to be more agile because we provide a centralized architecture that supports both on-prem, hybrid, and public clouds. And we reduce the risk of data loss and malicious activity by preventing unauthorized access to applications and data while still providing your end users the freedom to use any device, anywhere, anytime. So really the next step for probably most of you here is to take a look at either a deep dive demo or to do a proof of concept yourself. So in the communications that we have after this, you'll be able to enroll into a deep dive demo if you want, or you can request contact from one of our sales reps, and they'll incorporate and work with you on a proof of concept so you can get the application, you can trial it out yourself, and you can take a look and see how it works. We have extended the trial for net new customers. So it's normally a 15-day trial. If you want to trial Parallels remote application server, we're going to give you 30 days to kick the tires and light the fires to see if it can work for your organization, because we do know this isn't a temporary problem, and it's not a temporary solution. If you're on this call and you need to have remote workers, add remote workers to your organization, you're probably going to be doing it for the foreseeable future. So we want to be there for you. So you might as well be able to test it out for 30 days, make sure there's no buggies, so you can go ahead and get your end users working immediately as possible. And to that end, what you probably want to do is you probably want to incorporate what we call a proof of concept with us, where you can engage with us and we can provide you the licensing and the access to technical support, the access to the implementation team, and you can either trial it on your own on-prem infrastructure or you can trial it in the cloud as well. Again, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's whatever works best for you. And with that, that is Parallels Remote Application Server Introductory Webinar. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the questions to see if some people have asked some questions. And with that, we'll go ahead and see if we can get them answered. So we have one question here. My use case is to provide very limited controlled access for contractors. So Jonathan, I know you're on the line here. So could you talk a little bit about, Jonathan is one of our pre-sales technical support people, which is, he's fantastic. And he can definitely talk to you about how you can limit and control access to applications and or desktop based upon user profiles or based upon what you guys need in regards to what those end users need. And in this case, Jonathan, this end user's got a bunch of contractors that they need to provide very limited or controlled access to a particular application.
Yeah, absolutely. So publishing out the applications, you could definitely limit that to specific user sets. It's going to default to Active Directory for the management of the users, but for contractors, SAML may be a better way to go, and then they can authenticate through their SAML and single sign-on, and you can manage the users that way and what they would have access to, as well as what they can do with that access, as far as being able to redirect local drives or print or whatever.
Let's see here. We have a question about, and this is a term I probably, I don't know, but maybe you know, Jonathan, we have an end user, or we have a person asking, how is this different or the same as guacamole? Do you know what that is?
I am not familiar with that product.
Okay, no problem. Then we'll go ahead. For the individual that asked that, I'll go ahead and get you an answer afterwards, after the call. So thank you for asking. Please make sure that we're not going to just blow it off. We will answer that question for you because we think every question is important. And we think that we need to know exactly how we do differ from that particular one. What are the benefits to the partners? So if you're a Parallels partner, there's different levels of partners here, but if you're a partner right now, there's a couple of different benefits. There's two types of partners we have. We have reseller partners. Actually, we have three. We have reseller partners that just sell our software to other companies. Obviously, we can tell you right now, this is probably our hottest product right now. So if you are a company who is looking for a partnership with a product that is selling a lot right now, anything work from home is probably a good partnership to make. And we can tell you right now, we are working 12 hours a day, almost 6 days a week, processing orders for new RAS, adding licenses for remote application server. So if you are a partner and you're looking to shore up your business with a solution that you can provide your end users, RAS is not a bad way to go. If you are an implementation partner, and if you are a partner, maybe you're an ISV or you're an MSP partner, we have a program we have a couple different things. We provide a level of partnership that allows you the capability to not only sell RAS, but also service RAS and provide a level of implementation and installation for larger organizations that you can go ahead and build upon. But we also have what we call, from the old Microsoft terminology, a SPLA partnership. And what that is, that's for if you are, let's say, an ISV or an MSP. Let's say someone on this call right now has their own EMR system, their own emergency medical record system that they're providing to their end users, which are hospitals or clinics or that type of thing. You can come on board as a SPLA partner of Parallels. And what we do is we white label Parallels RAS, and you're able to push out your application to all those multiple end users in a quote unquote, Parallels remote application server wrapper. And then you're able to go ahead and manage those end users and meter those end users as you see fit. And instead of a yearly subscription for that model, we have what's called a yearly agreement with a monthly a monthly in arrears model. And what that simply is if 1,000 people accessed your application last month on Parallels RAS, you pay for those 1,000 users. If the next month 500 people access that application, then the next month you pay for only those 500 users. So you're only paying for the number of users that are utilizing your application. But it does allow you to go ahead and push your application out to multiple platforms, to multiple end users, without having to incorporate the internal development expense of having to make a Windows version and a mobile version and an Apple version and a web version. You don't have to develop any of that. That is done through Parallels RAS, and you can just concentrate on the core Windows application, how well it works, and we'll worry about transferring those features to the different platforms. So that's kind of how partners can help. And if you're a partner right now that sells a lot of Citrix, but Citrix is here's the same person. What is the best arguments against Citrix solution? Well, from a sales perspective, Citrix is big and it's bulky and it's expensive. And we are the opposite of all of those three. We are lean. We're a thin application. You're talking about implementing an application in a matter of hours as opposed to a matter of days. And then the ramp up is incredibly easy. Also, Jonathan, if you want to talk a little bit about the difference in complexity between Parallels RAS and the one pane of glass versus Citrix in this latest post 6X environment.
Yeah, I mean, RAS in general is very straightforward. It's very easy to use and simple in that single console. So you've kind of got everything at your fingertips. Very easy to see what is in your environment, what's going on in your environment, and all of your sessions all in one spot. And it just kind of removes all of the complexity that Citrix and our other competitors really have. Most of the customers that I work with when we're setting up POCs or setting up production environments think that they did it wrong because it was so easy. And then we tell them that they didn't do it wrong, that they got everything, that everything's in place where it needs to be. So, people typically get very surprised when they're done and they don't think that they should be because they're used to a Citrix.
Well, I would also say from a sales perspective, and Jonathan, you can speak this from a technical perspective, but we're also, our later versions, we're not forcing people to move to the cloud. That's one thing. I mean, if you're an on-prem organization, you can stay on-prem. The latest version of 17.1 Parallels works both on-prem and cloud-based deployments. It's not one or the other. Another question, how long has Parallels? So Parallels has been around for 20 years. If you know about Windows working on a Mac, you know about Parallels. We are on version Parallels RAS 17.1. So about 7 years we've been running this product. It's not something that we just cooked up in the basement last week. This is a long-term investment that we've made in this product development, and it's very robust and it's incredibly mature as far as the features and functions in the solution set. Things like multi-tenancy, things like SAML, put us on par with what you're experiencing from both the VMwares and the Citrusix of the world, but we have less total cost of ownership, and we have less of an ecosystem built around revenue generation, meaning that our training classes aren't going to cost you any certification money. Our ability to go ahead and get you up and running isn't going to be another line item. You get installation support, service, and help, and you get technical support afterwards, both phone call, email, and via web conference, as part and parcel of the $99 a month, or excuse me, $99 per year per user. There's no extra there. We're not adding stuff on. So when you get quoted that price, that's the price. There's nothing additional coming with that. So that's how we've set that up. Any other questions? Everyone on this call will get a thank you letter from us. They'll also get a link to the recording of the presentation. And also, if you'd like, we do have the unbranded version of this presentation that you could utilize for your own internal communication, especially a lot of the stuff in the middle about the sky falling and everything else going on right now. There's a lot of organizations that really need help sometimes in making the case to their decision makers that a project needs to be done. So you can feel free. Not only do we have the numbers, but we also have the hyperlinks and the citations for all of the data that we did present in the presentation. So you'll have all that core data as well that you can utilize to build yourself your own presentation. Well, I just want to say thank you again for spending some time with us. We really do appreciate it. We're here for you. We know this is a weird time, and it's a troubling time, and it's a time where really IT organizations as a whole are really the tip of the spear. I worked in IT for 20 years before I got involved in sales and in IT-based sales, and I can tell you I have never experienced a time in which IT was singularly such an important mechanism for not only growth and revenue, but for the continuing operation of the economy. If you have end users that can work remotely, it behooves all of us to get them working that way so we can keep all the doors open and all the lights on, and we can keep everything running as well as we can as we get through this together. So thanks for your time. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Appreciate it, and we'll keep in touch. Take care.